Excellent, thank you.
We need
Have
to
you
see
been
him for him to
sworn
vote,
yet?
though, Bill.
Sorry, Ellison.
We need to see him for him to vote.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to, what I'll do is, probably go, when you're gonna vote, I'll go down to Lenny's. I'm still having problems. I thought it cleared it up. I did 2 practice runs yesterday. It worked, and now I'm getting bounced out.
My bigger question, Rob, is,
Yes.
Rob, have you been sworn in?
No, I have not.
You're not going to be able to vote tonight until you get sworn in.
Okay.
But he can contribute to the conversation, Kenny? Question.
He probably should just listen. Yeah,
Okay, I'm ready to listen.
until he
I
gets
did
sworn
the ethics
in.
the other day.
All right, we're going to start. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the June 9th, 2022 remote Zoom meeting of the City of Gloucester Zoning Board of Appeals. This meeting is recorded by video and audio in accordance with the state open meeting law. Consistent with the governor's orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, this meeting will be conducted by remote participation. Additionally, all votes taken by the Zoning Board of Appeals during this and future remote meetings will be by roll call vote. If you are calling in on a phone and wish to participate in the public hearing, you can press *9 to request to speak, and we will see that and recognize you. If you're on a computer or a device, you have a raise hand button that you can tap or press to speak. Use either of these options. For the record, this is Zoom meeting ID 819-2422-1054. I recognize in attendance members of the zoning board, myself, Joe Parisi, member Peter Canavo, Secretary Michael Nyman, Vice Chairperson Catherine Schlichty, and alternate member Len Gillenhall. And I declare we have a quorum and we'll open our meeting. First order of business is the approval of the minutes of 5/26/22. You all received those earlier? We could
Yeah,
a
I just
motion?
have one change.
Yep,
On the portion about 26 Lindale Avenue.
Yep.
The motion reads, move to appeal the building inspector's decision, and it should say move to uphold the appeal, right? Because then it got voted for
and it
nothing
voted down, correct.
down, yeah. So just import the
Allison, you can
word,
make that
just insert
change.
the word uphold, yeah,
Okay, thank you.
or,
With that in mind, we'll accept the motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
I would second that.
that.
Roll call vote.
Ms. Schlichty,
yes.
Mr. Nyman,
Yes.
Mr. Canavo,
I wasn't here.
abstain?
Yes.
Mr. Gillenall
Yes.
and Mr. Parisi.
Yes, minutes are approved. Our first order of business is a new item. We received an open meeting law complaint form regarding 22 Fuller Street. And City Solicitor Susan Egan is here to explain that process to us and help us through what we do.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The city clerk received the open meeting law complaint from the Lukens, Jonathan and Kathleen Luken, regarding the meetings that occurred on the ZBA held on May 19th and 26th. The open meeting law complaint is signed on June 1st, but it was not received by the city clerk until June 7th. The complaint form provides that the open meeting law complaint must be disseminated to the Zoning Board of Appeals members, and it must be discussed by the board within 14 business days of receipt of the complaint. Because this was received on the 7th and your meeting is held tonight, you don't have another one until the 30th. The board has put it on its agenda tonight in order to be able to have a timely response on this open meeting law complaint, even though there wasn't the 48-hour posted on the agenda. But I believe that is compliant with the open meeting law because this is an exigent circumstances. So the board must, at this meeting tonight, review the complaint, discuss it, and then respond to the complaint and send that to the complainant, and also a copy to the Attorney General's office. You can delegate to counsel or another person to make that response and submit that in writing. I'm here tonight to help you through this process and offering my assistance in writing up a response and providing that to the Attorney General's office and to the complainant, if that would be helpful to the board. The complaint form essentially, the board has to discuss this, and I can summarize it to a certain extent. And it sounds like what the complainants are complaining about is that they were not recognized at a public meeting to respond to matters before the board. As you know, the open meeting law requires that a public body must provide 48 hours notice of an open meeting and may only speak about matters within its jurisdiction at an open meeting. Additionally, because the Zoning Board of Appeals sits as a quasi judicial body, particularly in matters reviewing permits, it has to comply with Chapter 40A with regard to how it conducts its hearings and its meetings. And so to the extent that you are holding a public hearing, close the public hearing, and then we're discussing and deliberating, the opportunity for the complainants to speak at the meeting is up to the chair, and that is compliant with the open meeting law. So I'll leave it to the board to discuss.
Can you just explain the difference between for us and the public, the difference between a public hearing and a public meeting?
Certainly. So the Zoning Board of Appeals statutory authority is under the Zoning Act. And in order to consider variance applications, appeals, and special permit applications, the board is required to hold a public hearing. And at a public hearing, the chairman presides, and opponents and proponents are given the opportunity to speak at that hearing at the chairman's determination. The chairman always controls a meeting regardless of whether it's a public hearing or meeting. But at the hearing, people are given a opportunity to speak. That's a part of the due process provided to them. Once the public hearing is closed in a matter, then that opportunity to participate in the meeting is over. And only if the chairman determines that somebody is able to speak and wants to either reopen the public hearing or finds it relevant to take in additional information, are attendants permitted to speak at that meeting.
So all actions we take have to be in a public meeting, but the public only gets to speak at the public hearing portion.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I did today, I wanted to make sure, so I went back and watched both hearings just to make sure I did what I thought I did. And I do confirm that, the order of our hearing is pretty clear in Article 3, Section 7. An application before the board follows the following manner. The applicant makes their presentation, and when we were in person, I always read this to people. Anyone in support has a chance to speak. Anyone in opposition has a chance to speak. And then the applicant has the opportunity for rebuttal. At that point, regular members of the board can ask questions and speak. And we close the public hearing. And then there's no more testimony. And what happened at the May 19th hearing is, as you recall, so we had taken public testimony in favor. There was one person in favor, and there were two people that spoke in opposition. And then we offered Attorney Nestor the opportunity for rebuttal, which he took, and he responded directly to some of the concerns. At that point, I closed the public hearing, clearly. Matter of fact, said it twice, that we're closing the public hearing, and we went into discussion by the board. And that during the discussion by the board, Michael and Catherine both expressed an interest and continuing to be able to take a second look at the property. So we voted to continue 1 week to May 26th, our next meeting, which is in compliance with the continuance guidelines. The hearing was clearly closed. There were people raising their hand at that point or after the rebuttal because they thought they were going to get to rebut again, but they don't get a rebuttal. The opposition doesn't get a rebuttal, only the applicant. So we closed the hearing. Everyone went and looked at it. And then on the 26th, we reopened the hearing and had a little more board discussion, some back and forth, some, everyone's feelings on the application. And then we took a motion and a vote to approve what was before us. That's as detailed as I could get from today reading after I got this notice, looking it up and watching.
And I'd just like to note, the reason we continued the hearing was to further investigate the opposition from the neighbors about the parking. So, we heard those complaints and we took them seriously and went to take another look at it. So, and all actions we took were in a public meeting. None of us, we all went individually to the site. There was no meeting at the site or talking about it or anything like that. So I think we've complied with the open meeting law myself, but.
So what we're discussing, so there's two, as we were talking before, right, there's two different issues. There's a public hearing portion, and then there's your deliberations. And an open meeting law complaint really goes to the process of whether or not the board is holding an open meeting. All of the information, all of your actions taken at a public hearing are not within the jurisdiction of the open meeting law, because that's not what the open meeting law deals with. It deals with whether you've given proper notice of your public meeting, whether you're discussing matters that are within your jurisdiction at a public meeting. And so at a properly noticed public meeting, not whether you're giving people an opportunity to speak.
Okay.
So what you're talking about is appropriate. I mean, right now, tonight is appropriate, and that is under the Zoning Act as your sort of status as a quasi judicial body, as opposed to, did we comply with the open meeting law? Do you
Okay.
see the distinction? So I mean, I think the response to this complaint is, we complied with the open meeting law because we gave proper notice what we were going to discuss. We were all there. We only discussed it, as the board just said, at a public meeting, and the issues regarding the public hearing are separate and distinct.
Okay.
don't
And we
follow.
did at the end of the first hearing, announce then when the next hearing was going to be, correct? So there was notice of the next meeting. Yeah.
I think
Right.
everything was proper, but we have to reply to the complaint, obviously. So we have to discuss it. There's no vote, correct?
Well, you could take a vote as to whether or not you want to delegate the responsibility to respond to.
We
to
abs-
me
we
or to
absolutely
someone
do.
else. Okay.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we absolutely want to do that. So is that adequate information for you?
Yes, do you want to take a vote to do that, to delegate?
Yes, we will.
Okay, take a roll call vote since you're meeting remotely.
Yep.
About that.
I move that we respectfully delegate the writing of the decision
No, the
Um,
response.
of our response to counsel Suzanne Higgin.
Second,
We have a motion made and seconded. Roll call vote.
Mr. Nyman,
yes.
Mr. Canavo,
Yes.
Mr. Gilliland,
Yes.
Ms. Slickby,
Yes.
Mr. Parisi.
Yes. So, Ms. Egan, we appreciate the offer and we're glad to pass that on.
Glad to have her back too.
Just keep us out of jail.
I will, and I will send the board a copy of that, just that response.
I do have a
Thank you,
question
Suzanne.
before she leaves. Does this complaint in any way affect the decision, right in the decision, the time on the decision? Or does that go ahead as scheduled? So to
That goes
get,
ahead of schedule. This has no effect on that.
thank you.
So we are fine, the decision's coming together. We're getting close to that being ready to go out in a timely manner. So,
Okay.
all righty.
All right,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, our next order of business is the continued petition of Peter J. Carboni seeking a special permit under 1.9 to alter and expand a non-conforming structure, and a special permit 2.4.5, the demolition and replacement of a pre-existing non-conforming single or two-family residence to allow demolition and replacement of a single-family residence at 2 High Rock Terrace. Attorney Favazza, please.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Joel Favazza. I'm an attorney for the applicant. As I indicated in an email earlier today, I must respectfully request what I hope is my final continuance. We have been working hard to address neighborhood concerns. As I mentioned in my email, this property also will need to go through a round of Conservation Commission permitting. And we're running into a little bit of a back and forth where we make an adjustment to try and alleviate some zoning concerns, and we end up creating new conservation concerns. We need to make sure that we make changes that are helpful and smart at this point, but don't shoot ourselves in the foot for the next step in the permitting. And we just need a little more time to get that straight. So if the board would be so kind as to grant me, again, what I hope is one final continuance. We're very close to having a proposed final set of plans to submit and discuss with the board after this long time.
Our concern, even if you were going to proceed tonight, which you decided this morning you weren't, we've received no information, no updated plans, nor have the public had access to any updates, which is pretty much in violation of our rules. And we can't be expected for you to show up tonight and put up on a screen revised drawings, revised plot plans, and we're supposed to absorb those and have a hearing the same night. What seems to be the issue with the fact we didn't have plans 7 days ago? You should have knew then that you weren't going to be able to proceed today.
Well, according to your rules of procedure, updated plans have to be filed 72 hours in advance.
And they weren't.
That's correct, they weren't. And so, again, knowing that I was going to be here tonight to request the continuance, knowing that with the rules are obviously I was not going to show up tonight and trying to, ram new plans through. We fully intend to comply with notification requirements. And
So
so,
why didn't you give notice 72 hours ago? Since you hadn't submitted plans, you knew you weren't going to be able to go forward tonight. And that might have been fair to the public and the members. We're all looking around every day trying to find this revision so we can do our job, as are the public. And we're not getting a lot of happy people out there with this process. This is from January.
the
It's
first
almost, in
is
fairness, we
mutual-
re-advertised it again, in fairness to the public, which we typically wouldn't normally do, but it's been continued so many times that we felt, that it was fair to the public to re-advertise. I'm not sure now whether it almost should be withdrawn and start over, in fairness to the
Mr.
people.
Chairman, if the board would have grant the final courtesy, I can agree tonight that this is the last continuance that I request, and should we not be ready more than 72 hours in advance of the 30th, then I will issue a letter requesting to withdraw and not request another continuance until such time as we have these plans dialed in. However,
Well, the 30th is not available. We have a full
Okay.
agenda.
so in that case, the second Thursday,
July 14th. But there's, again, it's going to be up to the board.
sure, I
Discussion by
appreciate
the
that.
board on this.
I mean, this isn't
I don't have
fair
a
to the
problem.
neighbor. The people are investing time and money, and it goes on and on and on and on, and we get no information. It's like, I think we should not vote on a continuance. This is silly.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a suggestion? If we were to withdraw and reapply, we'd have to reapply for the 14th, no later than the 23rd of June. And so if we withdrew and reapplied, you'd have a full set of plans submitted on the 23rd of June for the July 14th. And so if we're allowed to continue to the 14th with an obligation that we submit everything by June 23rd, which would be the functional and notice equivalent of a new filing, that would give the neighborhood and any concerned members of the public the full time they would otherwise get if this is a new application that came in for the July 14th meeting.
Yeah,
Michael?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I understand what Lenny's saying. This has been a long time. It's been pending since the beginning of the year. So, but I also see it's kind of, I mean, with Joel's concession that he would have it to filed and available to the public by the 23rd, which would be the same deadline in which he would have to have it filed for a July 14th hearing. That seems to me to be reasonable. It gives 3 weeks for the public to get some input, you know, look at the plans and try to get their own responses in. Joel, during any of this delay, have there been conversations with the neighbors and about their concerns, or is it strictly because of engineering and ability to get plans? Or
There's been informal conversations between my clients and some of the neighbors. There's one particular neighbor that's chosen a different path and it's kind of lawyered up, and there's no discussions there. But we are trying to address concerns that have been raised by the neighbors who have approached and conversed with my clients. Again, it's tricky because there's Concom issues, and we thought we had a redesign that was going to make sense, and then the engineer said, well, if you do that, good luck getting your next permit. And we realized, oh yeah, we have to kind of pull some stuff back and reorient again. So it's a tricky little puzzle, you know, that's presenting itself. But again, I can commit to this board that you'd have the same notice period that a new application would have. So it'd be the functional equivalent of me withdrawing tonight and reapplying in 2 weeks without the need to frankly print out 3 inches of paper again and submit all new applications to the board.
It may be the functional equivalent, but it's not the legal equivalent in my mind. I mean, how come you couldn't have done this a month ago? And why aren't you speaking to opposing counsel?
Well, we're speaking to neighbors who are willing to converse. There's, you know, I'm not getting into the legal discussion tonight, but what's going on with that particular neighbor, it's not fair to them. But we've been working since, you know, through these meetings, we've been working to address concerns that get raised, you know, get brought to our attention, including by the neighbor who's retained counsel. They've put forward some concerns, and we have gone back to address those concerns. And again, with the 3-week period, if it makes the board happy, I'm happy to make sure that that particular neighbor gets a copy the same day it's filed, even though it'll be available to the public regardless.
Michael?
Yeah, I'm good. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't grant what he's asking for with the condition that he's put upon it. I'm not sure what Lenny's talking about, you know, sort of the legal part of it, but it feels borderline vindictive here to me to not allow this. I just don't see any reason that he's set a condition, which is the same as making him reapply. So I don't see any reason, personally, I see no reason to make him reapply, because we can make him net do the same thing with the condition for the continuance. So I don't see any reason not to do it.
But
I don't mean to be vindictive at all.
I said
But
it feels vindictive, is what I said.
please. I'll,
But
Mr.
just a minute, Joe, let me
I
back up. Let me just back up. So that's not fair, Lenny. What I would say is, if I moved to not allow a continuance, it would be vindictive on my part. And I have no interest in going there. I just don't see any reason for not granting a continuance with that condition. I don't see any reason.
so
Mr.
what I
Chairman?
would go along with would be that firm date of the 23rd. We need those, we want drawings, we want them distributed and available on the drive for the public.
can
And
we get
also-
paper copies of the plans as well?
Yep.
The board, yeah.
In the event of an applicant intending to request a continuance, he or she shall promptly so notify all those persons entitled to notice of the hearing pursuant to sections 1.5.6 and 7. So therefore, and we haven't been firm on that, but these requests for continuances I noticed the one this morning got copied to that opposing counsel, but I don't think all the abutters received notice. And I think that needs to be, that there needs to be notice given by the applicant to all the abutters again, making it clear when the hearing is going to be, which is going to, if the motion I would entertain would be for July 14th to continue this if the board so votes, but I definitely want to hear those conditions in there. So it's fair to everybody.
Mr. Chairman,
That-
if I may, if I
Yes.
may, my concern, and you touched right on it, is notification. We re-advertise this at the city's expense that we normally don't do for this meeting. There's been a lot of confusion as to whether it's going to happen or not continued out. My recommendation would be if the board decides to continue it, where another condition would be that all the abutters would be notified by certified mail at the applicant's expense and the ad in the paper, the expense for the ad in the paper. That's really the difference between
A new hearing.
continuing this and a new hearing. It's the advertising part that everybody gets properly notified of the hearing. I think that's really the board's concern and the city's concern right now, that everybody gets due process.
I agree.
We'd have no objection to that.
So I'll entertain a motion then for a continuance to July 14th with the state the conditions we've discussed, that by the 23rd of June, we have adequate, up-to-date and final drawings and other information, and that it's just, made available on the drive, and that the abutters on the due notice list are receive a registered letter, and that a new ad be run, all at the expense of the applicant.
Would
I'm not
the
making a
abutter,
motion, but somebody can.
would the abutters get copies, hard copies?
No, they have to look
No,
on the
no,
drive.
no.
I'll make a,
Anyone want to make that motion?
They'd be able to see those copies at the office, same as anything, same as any.
Yeah, same as all hearings. They're available.
or in the
to
Google
view.
Drive, yeah.
Yes, or the
Right.
Google Drive, whichever they choose, yes.
Mr. Chairman, I would move continuance of 2 High Rock Terrace to July 14th hearing date on the condition that the applicant submit any revised plans and information he wants considered by the board by June 23rd, that the applicant submit new paper copies to all the board members so that we have paper copies of any plans that he will be relying on, that there be notice to all the abutters of the July 14th hearing date, and that the applicant pay the expense of, are we re-advertising or of the last hearing advertising?
We're re-advertising
Of
again.
re-advertising the hearing for June, on July 14th.
Ms. Lichty, that would be certified mail, such as required by.
Yes, certified mail to the abutters.
I would
Motion on
second
the
that
floor. Seconded
with those
by Michael,
conditions.
with the conditions. Roll call vote.
Second by Michael. Roll call. Mr. Canavo,
Yes, with the conditions.
Mr. Jolene,
Yes, with the conditions.
Ms. Lichty,
Yes,
Mr. Nyman,
Yes,
and Mr. Parisi.
Yes.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chair. Quick question. I just want to make sure I have this straight. The city will run the advertisement and send me an invoice for reimbursement. My office will handle the certified mailing, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to our hearings of the night evening. First is the petition of Vincenzo Parisi seeking a special permit on the 1.9 to alter and expand a pre-existing non-conforming structure or enable petitioner to construct a front entryway to house at 4 Finch Lane. I believe they're representing themselves. Can you bring them in?
Could they raise their hand?
If you're out there, could you raise your hand for us? So we can find you, Mr. Parisi.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, there's a Mary Ann Peterson. Is that Peter?
She was raising her hand during the last,
Oh, okay. Mr. Parisi, are you out?
I see G Parisi. I'll
It's
try
Thea
to,
G. Parisi.
yeah.
No relation, right?
No, is that how you say that name? There we go. You need to unmute yourself, please. And I'll remind anyone in the audience that's going to speak, please state your name and address first for the record before making your presentation.
Vincenzo Parisi and 4 Finch Lane.
Mr.
Thank
Chairman,
you. Yes,
for the record, there is no relation for the record.
no, none at all.
Thank-
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chairman, would you allow me to have my attorney write the decision, please?
Well, let's see if we, what we decide first.
All right,
okay?
well, I'm just not sure if I need to record it or if she can find it online.
You need to first tell us what you'd like to do and what you're asking for.
Okay,
We'll help you through that.
all right, perfect.
And then if we make a decision, if you'd like your attorney to write a draft to send to us for our approval, you have that right. And then, once we approve it and sign it, you would have to have your attorney or yourself file it with the Registry of Deeds before you can take out a building permit.
Okay,
And
That's the
these
problem.
meetings are recorded and available on the city website.
okay. So what I'm trying to do is put a front entry on my house. The stairs are deteriorating a little bit. It's mostly a safety issue, but I'd also like to have cover for, I have solar panels on my house that I bought. When I bought the house, the solar panels were already on it. So the snow falls off of that and it tends to fall on us. I also have 3 little kids that when we're standing on the landing, when we open our storm door, it tends to knock the kids back a little bit. So I like to have a little bit more room for that. And without blocking any views or anything like that. So that's pretty much the extent of it.
So I
Okay,
have a question. Because the application says you're looking for a 14-foot variance, but you're looking for a 6-foot variance.
Yeah, right,
Okay.
correct. So the stairs that are there now are about 4 feet, a little bit less.
Mhm.
So I'm just asking for another 2 feet, but my stairs coming down are gonna be leading towards the front this time rather than off the side.
so will they extend out more than the 6 feet that you show?
Yes, they will.
How much? We need to,
So there's 3 steps, so it'll be about 30 inches.
okay, so you're gonna, another 30 inches. So you want an 11'6" front yard setback,
Yep,
which is a 8'6" variance. Okay,
correct.
yeah, I want to get it right. No sense
Yeah.
getting a bad decision. Anybody else have questions on the application at this point, or we can take testimony?
And you're on septic, you have a septic system at the rear of your house?
No, I think it was before and now it's tied into city sewer.
Okay.
We'll take testimony, open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application? Please raise your hand on your device. And again, if you're on a phone, you dial *9. Anyone speaking in favor? Seeing none, is there anyone in opposition to the application? Anyone in opposition, please raise your hand. Seeing nothing, no raised hands, so we'll close the public testimony. Discussion by the board.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Glenn.
I drove up there. What he's got now is basically either concrete or cinder block.
Mhm.
It comes out and then goes parallel with the house. What he's planning to do will greatly improve the appearance of the house. I think that's positive for the neighborhood. It's a nice little neighborhood up there. I think it's a really good plan. And I didn't realize there were the safety issues that he was talking about, but I really think this is a good idea.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, very simple request. You know, there's good setback there. There's extra to the road, so I thought it was a nice looking improvement. Anyone else? Well, we get ready for a motion.
so what's the variance? 6 feet, 4 inches or
No,
Eight,
8'6".
8 feet, 0.6?
No, 8'6", which would be
8'6",
0.5.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, 8.5, yeah, 8 feet, 6, yeah, got it.
yes, it was advertised as a special permit, but it's not a huge deal, right?
Well, that's the thing. It's an alter and expand of pre-existing non-conforming because there was a zoning decision before that allowed the garage. So I assume that's why that they applied as a special permit to alter and expand.
They applied for a special permit because the front stairs are already non-conforming. The existing
Okay,
front
yeah.
stairs come into the front yard
So
setback.
there's not a variance then.
Yes.
Well, I knew it was listed as a special permit. I just didn't
Yeah.
quite understand it.
Okay,
So it's a special
Makes it
permit.
easier.
Yep,
Yeah.
Makes it easier.
much easier. stamp.
Agreed. Agreed.
We'll take a motion.
Make a motion for the petition of Vincenzo Parisi seeking special permit 1.9 to alter expand pre-existing non-conforming structure to enable petition to construct a front entryway at 4-inch lane. I don't see that as more detrimental to the neighborhood. It stays within character of the neighborhood. I think it's a pretty simple, straightforward project, and there was some safety concerns drawn that I think this would greatly improve those concerns.
Do you move in
Second.
favor, Peter?
Motion made.
Motion.
Yeah, I'll second that. It is a expansion of the nonconformity, but like Peter said, it's not substantially more detrimental to what's existing. I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded on a special permit. Roll call vote.
Mr. Gilliland,
Yes,
Ms. Slickty,
yes,
Mr. Nyman,
Yes,
Mr. Canavo,
Yes.
Mr. Parisi.
I also vote yes. You've heard our decision. It's favorable, Mr. Parisi. Do you want to do a draft? Have your attorney do a draft decision? He'd forward it into the office. Building
Yeah, I
office.
figured it'll be easier that way or quicker anyway.
Be quicker, maybe. Although I'm
Yeah.
pretty quick.
Mhm.
May I get the attorney's name?
What's that?
Who's the attorney?
Wilhelmina Sheedy.
Okay, great. The Mr. Sanborn, if you would stamp and sign those plans on my behalf, that would be appreciated.
I'll do so.
Thank you. Okay. Next hearing tonight is the petition of Chris Sherwood seeking a special permit to alter and expand a non-conforming accessory structure and variances for side and rear yard setbacks to enable petitioner to demolish existing shed and replace with a larger shed at 19 Stage Fort Avenue.
Yeah.
I believe they're representing, Mr. Sherwood's there. Can you unmute?
There we go.
Thank you. Name and address for the record.
Chris Sherwood, 19 Stage Fort Avenue.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am moved here in February. This is a very small house. It has 1,320 square feet. There, don't have an attic, don't have a basement. I literally have no storage whatsoever. And there is a shed that has been established that is basically falling apart. I don't know how long it's been there, but it's deteriorating. So in any case, it needs to be torn down. And I have a variance of 5 feet away from the outside boundary in order to put up a similar structure. It will be much more modern, much better designed, much more stable. But it's something that, for me, and I think for anybody living here, is kind of a necessity. There's no basement or no attic. You can see on the drawing, it's pretty much in the same location. And a little bit bigger, but it's not really that different than what's already there.
Is it all on your land?
Well, according to the map, it looks like there are.
Let me
maybe 2 or 3
rephrase that.
feet
Let me
cross
rephrase that.
up.
Will the new one be all on your land?
Yes is the
It has
correct
to be.
answer.
Yes.
Yes is the correct answer. Thanks,
It's
Mike.
the only answer.
The only
Yeah,
acceptable answer.
Respectfully.
The drawing, shows it
Respectfully,
over-
yes.
the drawing shows it over the property line. That's why people are asking.
Okay, yeah, that's because
Oh,
that's
in the
sort of-
easement area, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of where it is now, but I will make sure that it's on the other side. I mean, the problem is that there's a sidewalk, a wooden sidewalk that even makes it more crowded in my backyard. So, but yeah, it'll certainly be on my property.
Alrighty, and you realize it can't be more than 12 feet tall.
It won't be.
Okay.
I think it's 8 feet.
Alrighty,
So we have to define dimensionally what we're saying here, right? I mean, because
Right.
obviously it's drawn, and that's why we brought it up. You know, it's drawn on the neighbor's property, which obviously legally it can't be there. So are we giving him a 0, 6 inches? I mean, what are we granting? You know what I'm saying? We don't
So-
really.
If I may, Mr. Chairman,
yes, please.
you're granting a special permit because the existing shed is already non-conforming, both
Non-conforming.
rear and side.
Ah,
So it's a special
Okay.
permit to demolish and rebuild.
No variance is required.
No variance
Yeah.
is required.
Oh, nice.
Well, I heard variances in there. That's why I was bringing up the dimensions. So
Yeah, it was listed.
It
but
is in the
it's
ad.
a
That was
pre-existing,
my term.
yeah,
That's
it's
all
a
right.
non-conforming accessory structure. Okay, let's take some testimony from the public. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? Please raise your hand. In favor, raise your hand, or on your phone, press *9. We have Matt Ulera with his hand raised. Can we bring him on?
Hi, Matt Rolera, 12 Anchor Lane.
Thank you.
So I'm the neighbor who, we share a property line right where that existing shed is. I know that I have a dominant easement that goes into where that existing shed is. I believe that shed, and I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe that shed was originally part of my property before I bought the house. And I believe the easement was granted by the former owner so that the addition can be built on the back of Chris's house. My only concern would be that to have the new shed built over the dominant, into the easement, and having it, cause any issues, because I'm planning on getting a survey done and an easement assessment.
Which, can I ask you, which is your lot?
I'm 12 Anchor Lane.
Right, is
It says
that
lot 6.
6 is yours
On the
across?
assessors
the
map,
easement?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was more concerned with the left side where it was over the boundary there, but
I'm
Yeah,
not
this-
sure.
no reason he can't pull it.
I'm not sure how many feet the easement is. I believe can't be more than 4 feet
It
from
says
10
10
foot
says
wide.
10 on the drawing.
5 on each side.
5 on each side. So yeah, that's where I'm, I haven't had the opportunity to have it professionally assessed. We have a border line right now, and I would assume that the original boundary that we have now, like our current boundary, is the center, would that be the center of the easement, or would that be
the center of the easement is both of your boundaries. And
Okay,
there's a 5-foot easement to each other on either side.
okay,
Now, his shed sits on his piece of the easement now. And I'm not sure, I mean, we're saying, yeah, it can be there still,
mhm,
but it can't go over either the left boundary like it looks like it does now, or any further into the easement, according to this.
okay. As the dominant easement property owner, can I request for the shed to be moved no further than the, the edge of the width of the full easement?
Catherine? I don't know
Well,
what
the
that
question about the easement, and while we're talking, I'm trying to actually look up this easement, but, so I assume the easement is for ingress and egress on both your properties, right? So the easement is 10 feet wide and 5 of it is on Mr. Rivera's land and 5 feet of it is on the applicant's land. So the question about the easement is, so you both have dominant and subservient land, right? So the piece of the easement that's on the applicant's land, he can make use of that 5 feet underneath, but he can't interfere with easement use, like your use to make use of it. So it's really, honestly, you probably really shouldn't be building you shouldn't be building in easement areas, or at least to such an extent that it defeats the purpose of the easement. I'm trying to actually kind of find this easement to see what it says. But neither of you use this to go in and out of either Anchor Lane or Stage Ford Avenue, right?
Correct.
So I'm kind of wondering what this easement's for.
I don't know what the original purpose of the easement was for. I know that when this when this neighborhood was subdivided, there had been plans to put maybe roads through or accesses to different houses.
Right.
But I think what happened was they wound up going in front of my house and put an easement there to
Right.
get to 13 Anchor Lane.
Right.
So I'm just concerned that, if either of us sell the property in the future,
That if you're
having any
gonna
sort of legal, issues with that, because if the easement is revocable because it's no longer valid under the original context of what it was for, I just wouldn't want to set myself up for having any issues, in the future.
I understand that completely.
So if I
Uh,
may, I just
yeah.
looked up a map to you. It looks like just the way the easement's laid out, it runs between all the properties there. Looks like it's a utility easement.
Yeah,
On the utility easement, sometimes they allow a shed to be there, sometimes they won't.
right.
But again, to remind the board, easements are a civil matter between the
Yeah.
people who have the rights of it, and it does not involve the city unless it's a city easement. It
Right.
don't say so, so.
He's
Mr.
not,
Sherwood, will
he's
this be,
not, yeah, go ahead,
will
sorry.
this be on a foundation or will it just be a shed on blocks?
It'll be on blocks.
So realistically, if there was a problem down the road, it could be moved.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I mean, in that case, I have no issues and I am in favor of it.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the application? Please raise your hand. Is there anyone in opposition that wants to speak in opposition to the application? Please raise your hand. I see none. I'll close the public hearing. Discussion by the board.
No, pretty
Uh,
easy.
Do we need to condition that the shed is on cinder blocks when you build it by design, just in case something does happen, or is that just not necessary?
I think, I mean.
Because
we
I can
decided
understand,
that-
I can understand the neighbor's concern if Bill's saying it wouldn't be an issue, then yeah, I guess not. But if it has to be moved and he builds it on a slab and fastens it down, and now there's an argument saying it's gonna cost him too much money to move it. I don't know. I just thought
Right, again, we're
I
kind of
think
getting
the
into
foundation
civil
would be-
issues.
Yes,
Yeah, plus foundation would be counterproductive. Right? You don't want a foundation in the middle of the easement, because if they're digging the easement up, they don't have to deal with the foundation. They just want to pick the shed up and move it along with the blocks. So I just
And
think
it is a
it wants to be
special
on blocks,
permit.
actually.
It's only a special permit to alter and expand, as we've determined.
Okay,
He's going to keep it on his left boundary and his back corner there.
Yeah,
So I think we could proceed with that and everything will work out.
okay, yeah, I just wondered.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Petition of Chris Sherwood seeking a special permit to alter and expand a non-conforming structure, non-conforming accessory structure. Variances are not necessary. To demolish the existing shed and replace with a large shed. I believe the large shed was 10 by 16 by 8 feet tall, I believe is what it was represented as. So I would move approval. I think it is banning the nonconformity just because it's larger. I think it's going to improve what's there because it's going to get off from the neighbor's property and stay on Mr. Sherwood's property. So I would move approval.
Second,
Motion made and seconded on the special permit. Roll call vote.
Ms. Lichty,
yes,
Mr. Nyman,
Yes,
Mr. Canavo,
yes,
Mr. Gyllenhaal.
Yes, I thought the neighbor made some good points and was very clear, and I hope we arrived at a good resolution for him. Yes.
Mr. Parisi,
I also vote yes. You've heard our decision. It's favorable. We will draft a decision and get that off to you as soon as possible. Mr. Sanborn, would you stamp and sign that drawing on my behalf? And I will write the decision.
thank you, I will.
Thank you all. You're all set, Mr. Sherwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Should I proceed with this or do I need to wait till I'm
Now you
officially?
need to have a decision, which you'll
Okay.
file, and then you can get a building permit. You need a building permit for a shed.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Matt.
Our
Good luck.
next hearing is the petition of Tracy Dixon seeking a variance for front yard setback under 3.2.1 and a special permit under 1.8.3 for height exception to enable petitioner to correct the setback issue and to construct a third floor addition at 1 Island Rock Lane. Attorney Favazza is represented.
Evening. For the record, my name is Joel Favazza. I'm an attorney at Seaside Legal Solutions, and I'm here on behalf of Tracy Dixon. Give me 1 second, and I will share my screen. Okay, that should be up. So I never want to assume too much, but I think tonight this petition's a fairly straightforward one. The proposed work is to construct a third floor addition on the existing footprint of the existing house. We are in the R10 district, which is the medium high density residential district. We are on a conforming lot. The existing structure is a single family home and it will remain a single family home after this addition is complete. And the lot was purchased by the owner in 2012, so they're rounding out a decade here in Gloucester with us. The relief requested, we are requesting a special permit for building heights in excess of 30 feet. And we're also requesting a variance for front yard setback. This variance for front yard setback actually relates to the deck you can see in this photo. It's already there, but there is a front yard violation that went undetected until we went for this special permit. So the proposed addition is conforming with respect to setbacks. It's just not conforming with respect to height. Per usual, I have the full set of plans, and you can see here on the right-hand side of the plan, the existing deck punching through the front yard setback. This is the existing first floor, existing second level. Again, minor changes to the second level. This is the third floor addition. It's 2 bedrooms, each with their own closet and full bath, and a laundry room in the center. It is accessed through the house. This will not be a separate unit. This is going to be additional space within the existing house. Here's exterior elevations. Again, everything in red is the new dormer and new roof. And you can see the black dash line shows the existing outline of the roof as compared to the proposed increased height. And this is a little see-through section of the building. So two standards we have. The first is the special permit for the height. You have to basically say it's similar to an alter expand, but slightly different test here. We have to make sure that it's consistent with neighborhood character and not substantially detrimental to the neighborhood. And the first thing you look at is obstruction of views. This property is actually surrounded by multiple layers of trees, and it's actually been strategically chosen to go up on the existing footprint. We have a little tool out here to draw for you guys. So the existing footprint of the house is this portion of it. It does not include the garage. And quote unquote by right, they could have actually went out this way and actually come up this close, and they could have went up to 30 feet above the garage and redone the garage to get additional space. But that actually we thought would be more impactful to the immediate neighbors. And so the decision was made to instead just stick to the original footprint of the house and go up. And as you can see, there's a row of trees immediately behind the house. And then there's a large collection of trees, basically one property back from the house. So as far as obstruction of views, people trying to look out toward Niles, if they can't see it now, it's not going to be any different. If they can see it, it's not going to be any different because it's just going to be this footprint of the house here. Let's clear those out. So then you get an overshadowing of other properties. Again, there'll be an increase in shadows, but it'll be minimal, mostly due to the proximity of the foliage we just discussed. And any increase in shadowing is not going to cast shadows on the spelling error there, my mistake. It's not going to cast shadows onto a neighboring driveway or walkway. As you can see, the shadows will go in this direction, and the nearest neighbor's driveway and walkway is behind their house. So it's not like if any increased shadows do make it through the tree cover, that it will be affecting walkways or driveways. Impairment of utilities, there's no utility lines running across the roof of this house that would be impaired by this going up. And as far as adverse impacts, we have 5 letters of support from neighbors in the file already. And we've been assured by a 6th neighbor that they'll be speaking in favor tonight. That represents, that is represented here on this map. The blue star is obviously the subject property, and the green stars show properties that have either written in favor or will speak in favor tonight. I do want to make very clear that the condominium property here has several units. We've only heard from 2, so I don't want to suggest that all units in this condominium have voiced their support for this, but 2 of the unit owners have, and to my knowledge, none so far have voiced any opposition. Then you go to the second set of standards would be for the variance for the existing deck. And so you go a literal enforcement of the GZO create a hardship. Well, the deck was here and it was constructed by the previous owner. It had been left alone actually by 2016. It would have been beyond enforcement. And the current owner, my client, certainly wasn't aware it was not properly permitted when they purchased it in 2012. The problem is that in 2013, they did renovation work to it, which reset this 10-year clock. It was not flagged as requiring zoning relief in 2013. And if we had not gone through this process, and if the deck had been left alone for another year, it would once again, or finally be in this beyond enforcement category. People kind of call it grandfathering, right? But now both the owner and the building department are aware that this deck is violating the front yard setback. And so we have to either obtain this variance or demolish the deck. The deck obviously is highly valuable to the value of the property and intrinsically to my clients because it's, a great view out of Niles. It's a nice elevated outdoor space. And frankly, as to additional hardship, it would be costly to remove. It's already there and it's built into the house. So does the hardship relate to things including the shape of the structure in question? Well, yeah, the deck's already there and it's already too close to the line. We obviously can't change the shape of the lot, and we prefer not to have to take the deck off. What I would point out, what I think is the issue here, is that this is a corner lot. So even though this is an Island Rock property, it does also have frontage on Eastern Point Road. And my guess is when people were trying to put the deck on, they just kind of, forgetting that it's a corner lot, treated the right-hand side as if it was a side yard. And if it was a side yard, this deck complies with the side yard setback. But because it's actually another front yard, which has twice the setback, we have this penetration here. And then again, if you grant the relief, you have to ask, will this, harm the public good or nullify the intent of the zoning ordinance? Again, this just allows the existing deck to remain where it is. And as I mentioned previously, we have 6 nearby neighbors in support of all this work. Just for the record, it's submitted. This is the 5 properties I've written in: 64 Eastern Point Road, Unit 2, 62 Eastern Point Road, Unit 2, 3 Island Rock Lane, 6 Island Rock Lane, and 12 Island Rock Lane. Those are the 5 letters you have in the file. As I said, I believe a 6th neighbor will be speaking tonight. And just as a quick reminder before I wrap up, these are the 2 pieces of relief we're requesting. It's a special permit for height, looking for 4 foot 1 inch of relief, and a variance for the front yard setback, 9 feet of relief on that. On behalf of my client, I want to thank you very much for listening, and I will stop the share. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions up front of the applicant? Okay, we'll take public testimony, open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application? If you're in favor, please raise your hand. First up is Mary Ann Boucher.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Mary Ann Albert Boucher, 93 Mount Pleasant Avenue. My husband, Steve Boucher, and I also own 75 Eastern Point Road, which is the house directly behind 1 Island Rock Lane, in which Joel Favazza identified. I want to say that Tracy and Caleb are fabulous neighbors, and I believe that it is important to be neighborly and to get along and do what is best for your neighbors. And this neighbor wants to increase his home for all the right reasons. And I, along with my husband, I know I really can't speak for him, but we're in full support of Tracy and Caleb's request. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? In favor, raise your hand, please. Seeing no other, anyone in opposition to the application, please raise your hand. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? I'll remind you, if you're on a phone, you dial *9. Or hit the raise hand button on your app. Anyone in favor, anyone in opposition? Seeing none, there'll be no need for rebuttal. I'll close the public hearing and we'll have discussion by the board. Anybody?
Good plan. I always have concerns for special height exception permits. I think Mary Ann Boucher has sort of addressed any concerns that I had, being the direct abutter in the back. And I think Joe's comments about not expanding over the garage when they had a legal right to do that, I think also sort of is moving in the same direction, addressing my concern of trying to be respectful to the neighbors. And to me, the variance is the variance. Somebody overlooked it previously. It's a beautiful home. I see no reason to have somebody tear that deck off, even though it was originally put on illegally. So,
motion made. Oh, was that a, that was the.
no, that was just comments. No,
I'm sorry,
yeah,
yep.
sorry, I didn't make a motion yet, just comments.
No, that's
I'm
okay.
happy to make the motion if you want.
Catherine?
some comments,
Well,
yeah.
let's see any board question.
Yeah, no, I agree with Michael. Like my concern is always about, are you going to be, particularly where they're located, are they going to be obstructing a bunch of neighborhood views? I think they made the right choice by going over the house rather than the garage. I think it's a good project. I would support it.
Okay. Take a motion.
I can make a motion.
Thank you.
Petition of Tracy Dixon seeking a variance for a front yard setback 3.2.1 and a special permit 1.8.3 for height exception to enable petitioner to correct the setback issue and to construct a 3rd floor addition. I think for the reasons that Attorney Favazza has stated, I think the hardship is that the deck exists. I think his point is well taken that if it they didn't discover it. If they hadn't done renovation in 2013,
they hadn't discovered it and what they're doing now, in another year, it would be illegal. None of the neighbors have any concerns about it. So I would move approval of the variance. And it is increasing, it is increasing the height 4 foot 1 inch above the 30 feet. But I think the neighbors have spoken. There's no view obstructions, there's no overshadowing. So I would move approval of the height exception special permit as well.
Motion
Second.
made, seconded. Roll call vote.
Mr. Nyman,
Yes for the variance, yes for the special permit for height.
Mr. Canavo,
Yes, for both.
Mr. Gyllenhaal,
Yes, for the variance and the special permit.
Ms. Lichty,
Yes for the special permit, yes for the variance.
Mr. Parisi.
I also vote yes. We've heard our decisions favorable. We appreciate a draft decision. And Mr. Sanborn, if you could stamp and sign those drawings on my behalf, would appreciate that. Thank
I'll do
you.
so.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Okay, next hearing is the petition of Jason and Bethany McNichol, seeking a special permit under 1.9 to alter and expand a non-conforming accessory structure to enable petitioner to convert a detached garage into an accessory dwelling unit at 6 Friend Court. Craig Herman, I believe, is representing.
Yes, I am.
Craig, how you doing?
I'm good. Good morning, good evening, everybody. My name is Craig Herman. I'm a resident at 10 Highland Street, and I have a business here in town at 43 Gloucester Avenue. So we are interested in altering and expanding an existing high bay garage at 6 Friend Court. And am I allowed to share my screen and?
Yes,
all my
please.
drawings? Okay. So this is the existing structure. There is no floor at this level. So the property sits on the corner of their lot. We're not asking to raise the roof at all, but the average height of this property, of this structure, accessory structure, is 21 feet 5 inches. So we would be completely renovating the exterior. We would add a second floor for this dwelling unit, and we would have a small expansion off the side. We meet all of the code requirements for the detached ADU, but since it's already over the existing allowable height of 20 feet, we had to go in for the special permit to alter the structure because of the height overage. To me, I feel it's very simple and clear. Right now, it's a 2-car garage. We'd have the one entrance coming in and going up the stairs to the unit above. They would keep this one entrance overhead door for a garage bay. And then once up in the unit, you've got 2 exits out of the property, and we're putting on this small addition off to the side, which allows for easy access in order to pull up into the existing parking lot and then come up onto the porch and enter into the ADU. So that's pretty much all we're looking to do, is alter an existing structure that is over the required height.
So
at
you-
21 feet 5 inches.
So you meet the accessory setbacks, but not the principal building setbacks? Is that what it is?
Yes.
So it makes you go with the 20, okay.
Yep.
And is the square footage less than 50% of the main house?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Where did I have that? I think I've got it on the floor plans.
Yeah,
we
you
can tell by
said
the-
443 square feet for the unit and it's 1,050 in the main house. I think it's what your notes on your plan say.
Yeah.
So it's less than 50%.
Great,
Yep.
And it's under the 800 square feet either way.
very good. Any other immediate questions on the application?
No,
Mr.
but-
Chairman,
Yes,
in
What?
looking at the drawings, I couldn't tell if the second means of egress just came down into the garage or whether the egress would have a door directly out, so you wouldn't have to circle back into the garage. I think the door does that, but I just couldn't tell from the drawings.
Yep. If I can answer that question. So
Sure.
as I mentioned, the foyer up here comes out onto a small covered porch and you've got the stairs down. The other one is off the kitchen. You come down the stairs, which brings you down to a small landing. And then a couple more risers down to this mudroom, and there's a door out. This door is already existing, so that's why we've configured the property, the
right,
layout.
it's that lower right hand one.
Right.
Right, that's what I thought, but it wasn't absolutely clear to me that you
Okay.
wouldn't have to go back into the garage if there was a fire in there. You can get the hell out. Oh, excuse me, you can get out.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll take test, if you can take your screen down, Craig, I appreciate it. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? Please raise your hand. Anyone in favor? Seeing none, is there anyone in opposition to the application? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, we'll need no rebuttal. We'll go to discussion by the board. I personally would just say it's a, this is what this was all about, the R5 separate building, not having to try to put two on one lot. The whole ADU is definitely going to create housing. And I like what I see. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think it's I just have a question. So there is a separate parking spot for the ADU.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Do-
No, I agree with you, Joe. I think that this is exactly what the ADU is designed to do. People can get, it's still a single family dwelling. It's got to remain in, single ownership. But it gets another small dwelling space for extra income or a family member or whatever. So it looks like a nice project to me.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay, yes,
if I may, Craig, where is the parking? You're losing one parking space out of the garage and you're not showing any
Yep.
on site.
I'll pop the screen. So if you, I'm going to pop this back up. So on the site plan and so when you come down Friend Court and the main driveway to the house exists right here, this is the existing driveway for the ADU. That's the parking spot.
Okay,
So
I
when
see
you-
that.
Yep, and then just so there's a corner, that's a portion of it right there. And you see a little bit more of it here. and
Okay.
the back. Actually, there's the spot right there.
Okay, perfect, excellent, thank you.
okay. Hearing nothing, we'll entertain a motion.
On my agenda, I'll make a motion. On the petition of Jason and Bethany McNichol seeking a special permit. Is it 1.9 to alter, expand the non-conforming accessory structure to enable the petitioner to convert the detached garage into an accessory dwelling unit at 6 Friend Court. I think I appreciate all the notes, zoning notes you put on your map. Thank you on your plans. Thank you very much. It helped me a lot going through it. And I think you've met the requirements for an ADU. It's a single family. The ADU is not more than 50% of the existing structure. You have the parking, and I think that the structure as you are constructing it is in keeping with the, look of the house or whatnot. I think it looks like a nice plan. Nice job. I think it's not substantially more detrimental than the existing garage, which could probably do with a rehab. So I would move approval of the special permit for ADU.
Okay, we have a motion made
Second,
and seconded on a special permit number 1.9, and it also, it's 5.24.6 on the special permit for the ADU.
Oh, thank you.
So we'll take a roll call vote.
Ms. Slickby,
Yes.
Mr. Nyman,
Yes.
Mr. Canavo,
yes.
Mr. Gyllenhaal,
Yes.
Mr. Parisi.
Yes. Craig, you've heard our decision's favorable. We will put together a decision, get that out to you. Mr. Sanborn, if you'd stamp and sign those plans on my behalf. Appreciate it.
I'll do so. I need somebody to
Thank you.
write
Craig,
this.
who's going to write this?
I'll write it. I got two more to do, but I'll do
Are you
it.
caught up? I'm caught up. I can do it.
You are? I have two
Yeah, I'll do it.
more. I forgot about, I have two more. Allison reminded me. Thank you, Allison.
I'll take care. I'll do it. All right. Okay. We'll move on to our last hearing of the evening.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
The application of 127 Eastern Avenue LLC, seeking a variance under 4.3.2 to enable petitioner to change signage at Shaw's Supermarket at 127 Eastern Avenue. And the I think the presenting is Deborah Collins, I believe. Nick Cueto.
I have a Jamie raising their hand.
Okay. Let's see if that's them. Jamie, if you could unmute, please.
Good evening,
Are you representing?
representing Shaw's,
Yeah.
127 Eastern Ave LLC.
Your name and address for the record?
Of course, Jamie Fisher with ID Sign Group, 9 Bristol Drive, Southeastern Massachusetts.
Okay. Go ahead.
Now I can see all y'all. Good evening.
How we doing?
Good. So, yep, sent on proxy in replacement of Deborah Collins. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Here representing Shaw's. Shaw's is seeking a variance, 4.3.2 as mentioned. Essentially what they're looking to do is actually reduce their footprint. Their current signage is roughly, I could tell you, roughly 238 square feet. The new proposed signage is going to only occupy 120 square feet of building frontage. What's currently existing is a 60-inch tall cap height, internally illuminated by way of neon technology channel letter set. Shaw's has essentially just rebranded. They're looking to implement their new branded logo, newer colors, with a newer orientation. At the end of the day, the most predominant change is going to be the scale is going to be reduced, and the leaf is going to appear a little bit different. It's the same logo that we're all used to. What the client is looking to do is install 3-inch deep LED illuminated, internally illuminated channel letters. The newer letter set, obviously being illuminated by LED, is more cost effective, more durable, low voltage, whereas the existing letter set is neon. It's a little bit more dangerous. It's 10,000 volts, high voltage. And aside from that, it's really more or less apples for apples. Are there any specific questions about fabrication, internal illumination, anything that I can speak towards?
Is it any brighter than the existing sign?
No, sir.
So
That's my question too.
are you familiar with? So this doesn't fall under the single tenant.
correct. This is Shaw's occupies a multi-tenant space.
Yeah, and so you're asking for how many square feet on this? 120?
120, sir.
And the allowable, we just want to get the amount correct for the variance. I know in the single, it was only 60 square feet, but we'll figure out the exact.
I'm doing it from memory, Mr. Chairman. I believe for internally lit is only 16.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to find.
Yes.
Um,
And just for the record, while you're looking for that, Mr. Chairman, we reviewed this, and as you all know, our city sign ordinance does not contain a non-conforming clause in it to replace or reduce. That's why we're looking for variances here. We're not looking at a reduction for the non-conformity
Right,
special permit.
so it's gonna fall into the 4.3. All right, good. So any other questions by the board at this time? Or we'll allow public testimony. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application, please raise your hand. Anyone in favor? Seeing none, is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the sign? Again, seeing none. Discussion, obviously pretty straightforward, looks good. It's going to be an improvement for the older sign. We're glad they're staying there. When
Since
we
we're
do
all
the
probably
decision,
all-
we'll get the right footage in.
Since we're probably all customers, are we still allowed to vote?
I go to Stop and Shop.
Jaws doesn't own the mall.
Just kidding.
Okay, so it's a cut and dry variance under the sign ordinance of 4.3.2 to change the signage, and we're granting the variance for the increased size. So that everybody's clear on that. Will someone make a motion?
I don't mind making a motion. What's the standard? I mean,
Sure.
it's an easy yes for me. I guess I'll let somebody write the standard into the decision. 127
Yeah.
Eastern Ave LLC seeking a variance, 4.3.2 to enable petitioner to change signage at Shaw's Supermarket, 127 Eastern Avenue. From what Bill said, sounds like only what's allowed is 16 square feet. I believe they're asking for 120, so they need a variance for 104 square feet. Can change those numbers if they're not correct. What's not to like? I mean, I'm looking at the two signs side by side. What's not to like? So I would move approval of the variance.
I would second that.
Motion made and seconded on the petition for variance. Roll call vote.
Mr. Canavo,
Yes.
Mr. Gyllenhaal,
Yes,
Ms. Whitby,
Yes, I think it's actually less intrusive than what's there, and, using less energy, so I'll go yes.
you
Mr.
go.
Magny,
Yes.
Mr. Parisi.
Yes. So you've heard our decision's favorable. We'll have to put a decision together for you, get that to you.
Are you capable, somebody in your organization capable of writing a decision? Jamie?
I've never actually written a decision.
Okay. Okay.
I apologize. I'm not super privy on the process.
Okay, that's fine. I know some signs companies have done them before, so they write them, but if you haven't, then we won't train you now.
Understood.
Okay.
All right.
We-
Ed.
Yeah, we have enough decisions in the file with the car rental and all that over there. I think we
Yeah, sure, we got something.
can get one of those out and use it as a template. Whatever. I'm not
Or
sure.
Domino's, didn't we just do one for Domino's?
We did Domino's
Yeah.
too. I think I did. All right, thank you. You're all set, Jamie.
Wonderful. Have a great evening. Thank you so much, guys.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Take care.
Okay,
Bye now.
discussion by the board. The only thing I have open is, it was interesting that we got the appeal that we violated the open meeting law, but we obviously didn't. But the other thing that's still open is the open records request with regard to the, the application that we continued tonight. Obviously, 2 High Rock Terrace, so the legal, as he was referencing, has made a public records request. I know a few of us have complied. Anybody? We're actually past the deadline, but we still need to comply if anyone hasn't had a chance.
So you
I
do
sent stuff
need
over-
to answer to be, just to be consistent. We do need an answer. If you have none, you need to say none.
I sent a couple over to Allison and I just asked her to notify me if I'd missed anything or whatever, but
Okay, good.
I sent what I thought I
Catherine, we
had.
have yours, Catherine, mine, I believe. James
we
did
asking?
his. Peter?
What are we asking?
So any email that you received, and they're all, unless you've got something off the cuff, they're all pretty much came from Allison or from the staff to us to do with
Yeah.
that High Rock Terrace. There's probably a handful of them. If you have the emails, if you can forward them to Allison.
Okay.
If you just
from
run
your
like
personal
22
email.
High Rock Terrace, it will bring up anything that you have that mentions that in the email. And then you
2
can,
High Rock Terrace.
yeah,
Two.
2 High Rocks.
Yeah.
2
And we
High
have
Rock.
to,
22 might get you nothing.
I was
We
just
have to
gonna let you
send them-
keep go. I
Oh,
was
you
gonna
can
keep
try
you
it.
let go.
You can try it.
That would work. That would keep it really simple, 22.
so all
I
the,
got nothing.
all this is to do with the case coming up and that, you know, they're looking to see that Joel wasn't talking to any one of us individually, which we don't allow. We're in compliance. I know we are. But we have to show that. And I
Sure.
got faith in everybody that we are doing the right thing. So anything you have, an email that has that on it, forward a copy and Allison will get it to Miss Lane at the
Kathy
attorney's office in
Lane,
the
yeah.
city. That's where I sent mine. They all are gonna be the same ones, I imagine, unless anybody's doing anything off the cuff, so.
I thought it had to do with any personal contact.
Any communications, so
contact.
any,
With the attorney for the applicant, I believe.
I talked to Allison right away and said I've had none, but I didn't do anything in writing to reaffirm that. I did it verbally.
but you should see if you have anything in
Okay.
your emails, like, even if it's like Allison
Like when
saying this
Joel-
is on the agenda.
Like when he
She-
asked for
Kathy
continuances.
Lane did tell me that it should be directly from between Joel Vaza and you or the applicant and you.
Oh,
That
then
should
I
be-
could, I could say none to
Sorry for
that.
sending all the stuff that wasn't said.
Well, they all came to the board and our names were on. I
Right.
know Allison forwards them. I know I get them also, so I did have direct, but I forward everything. It was the same. It's all the same stuff we all got.
Yeah, good advice is, Catherine, is what you said. Google for 2 High Rock
Well,
Terrace.
yeah.
Or search your email for it, and anything that comes up, just give them everything that shows up, and then there's no
She can
fight.
decide what she has to produce,
Yep.
yeah. All of mine were from Allison, but yeah, I gave her everything I had.
Yeah. Okay, good. Everybody can make sure they do that because we have to.
Yeah, I'll try to do that. I didn't realize it was regular emails
Yeah.
Yes,
from Allison. But
Anything
I'll check.
discussing the project, yep. Okay, anybody, anything else you want to bring up? Or
I may not be available on June 30th.
Are you going
Well,
to
it's Sean's
Fiesta?
birthday, so I'd like not to be available if we're gonna have a quorum.
well, Sean,
Okay.
said he'd prefer you were at the meeting, so he could.
Yeah, he told me to say no.
Not when I'm buying dinner, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's June 30th. That's Fiesta though. I'm a little worried about Peter, you know. He's gonna be able to make it.
I don't know,
Buddy.
dude. I really
It's a rough-
Oh, that's
That's a
right,
rough night,
Thursday
huh, Peter?
Fiesta.
I will remind you
Oh,
all,
it
that
isn't Fiesta. No, it isn't. It's the week after.
Oh, you're right, it is the
I
weekend.
might need that whole week to recover.
Yeah, you'll be all right by the 30th.
Joe, I might need that week. I might need that whole week to recover, though.
Are you
All
gonna
right.
walk the pole?
He's
Peter,
got
do
young
you,
children now.
oh,
I
yeah.
will be.
Are you
My
really?
wife is telling me I have to do it.
Really? That's
My
the
son was
opposite of
too
what
young
you usually
before
get.
pre-COVID.
Never heard that before.
I
Well, I
know.
saw his wife coming out of Carol Steele's this morning, so I,
Yeah, oh, we got extra insurance.
She's got you insured, yeah.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
oh, shoot.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second,
Second.
Roll call vote to adjourn.
Mr. Canavo,
Yes.
Mr. Gyllenhaal,
yes.
Ms. Slickby,
yes.
Mr. Nyman,
Yes.
Mr. Parisi.
Yes, we are officially adjourned. Have a good
Good
week,
job.
everybody.
Hour and a
Take
half.
it easy.
Leave us on page row.
Lot of stuff.
Nice to see you all.
Everybody,
Have a good
yeah,
evening.
everybody enjoy Fiesta.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.